killest the prophets, and stonest them which are sent unto thee. How often would I have gathered her chickens under her wings, and ye would not. Behold, your house is left unto you, desolate. See ye not all these buildings? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down.
In the year 70 A.D., this prophecy given by Jesus Christ about Jerusalem is being fulfilled. The Roman legions, under the direction of Titus, leveled the city and the temple. Today, archaeologists are busily involved in digging up under the present Jerusalem the remains of the past. Bits and pieces are the silent witnesses of the gruesome deeds of the bygone ages. This is the ground where Jesus walked. From this vantage point, he must have looked at the impressive buildings of Jerusalem with its magnificent temple. Yet, no stone shall be left upon another, he said. And what he predicted came to pass, frightfully accurate. Who is this Jesus? Is he one of these doom prophets who only speaks of death, destruction, or misery and judgment? Or is there more? This is the country where he was born. Galilee, which is in northern Israel, is the place where he grew up. This is the place where he walked with his friends. And this is where he spoke to people who came to listen to him or seek healing for the sick. And he healed them. He gave them bread to eat and living water for their hearts.
And Jesus said unto them, I am the bread of life. He that cometh to me shall never hunger, and he that believeth in me shall never thirst. Whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I give him shall never thirst. But the water I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men.
Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men, he said to them. And they followed him and listened to what he had to say. And some of them wrote down everything they saw and heard about him. This is how the New Testament books came into existence. Those books tell us about Jesus' deep love for poor people. They tell about his cutting remarks to the spiritual leaders of his day. And they relate his death, how he was slain as a lamb and died on a cross. But this is not the end, because the story continues after that. He raised from the dead. His friends saw him. He conversed and ate with them here at the edge of the lake. Finally, he said goodbye to them. But not forever, he said, because I will come back at the end of times to make all things new. For this resurrected Jesus, his friends gave their lives. The new life that Jesus could offer was of more value to them than their earthly possessions. They started to tell it to everyone who was listening. And very soon, little groups of believers came into being all over. They were called Christians, followers of Jesus Christ. His reports, the Gospel of Luke and the Acts of the Apostles, are 2 of the 27 books of the New Testament. 14 other books of the New Testament have been written by Paul. Paul was a man who had been grounded in the Jewish faith from his youth. For Paul, beyond a shadow of a doubt, believed that the movement around Jesus was only a sect based on a lie, and therefore had to be eliminated completely. Wherever he gets a chance, he hunts the followers of Jesus Christ down. Also here in Damascus, he is planning one of his roundups. But he never came that far, because on the way to Damascus, something happened that would totally revolutionize his life. He sees a tremendous light, and hears a voice saying, "Saul, Saul, why persecutest thou me?" Trembling, he fell on his knees and said, "Who art thou, Lord?" "I am Jesus, whom thou persecutest." That is the end of his persecution of the Christians. Paul, the persecutor of Jesus, becomes a preacher of the gospel. Later, Paul himself is taken prisoner because of being a Christian. Here in Caesarea, he was kept a prisoner. But before he was chained and locked up, he did a lot of traveling. Not just in Palestina, but across the seas to Greece, Asia Minor, yes, even to Italy and Rome. It was there that Paul died as a martyr for Jesus. Paul and Luke, together, they wrote more than half of the New Testament. Besides them, others like Peter, John, and James contributed as well. Before the year 100 AD, the New Testament is completed in the Greek language and finds its circulation around the Mediterranean Sea, also into Greece.
Paul stood up in front of the meeting of the Areopagus and said, "Men of Athens, I see that in every way you are very religious. For as I walked through your city and looked at the places where you worship, I found also an altar on which is written, 'To an unknown God.' That which you worship then, even though you do not know it, is what I now proclaim to you. God, who made the world and everything in it, the Lord of heaven and earth, does not live in temples made by men, nor does he need anything that men can supply by working for him, since it is he himself who gives life and breath, everything else to all men. He created all races of men and made them live over the whole earth. He himself fixed beforehand the exact times and the limits of the places where they would live. He did this so that they would look for him, perhaps find him as they felt around for him. Yet God is actually not far from any one of us. As someone has said, in him we live and move and exist. It is, as some of your poets have said, we too are his children. Since we are God's children, we should not suppose that his nature is anything like an image of gold or silver or stone, shaped by the art and skill of man. God has overlooked the times when men did not know. But now he commands all men everywhere to turn away from their evil ways. For he has fixed a day in which he will judge the whole world with justice. By means of a man he has chosen. He has given proof of this to everyone by raising that man from death. When they heard Paul speak, raising from death, some of them made fun of him. Others said, "We will hear you speak about this again." And so Paul departed. Wandering through Greece, one can still see all sorts of reminders of a highly developed civilization that once was. Much has been destroyed, but enough remains to give you an impression of the special feeling of the Greeks for beauty and art. But the glory of Greece is gone due to time and erosion. Though what did remain are the words of the preacher Paul, even though at the time they didn't leave much of an impression on the Greeks. The New Testament did stand against the erosion of time. But how do we know that for sure? How do we know that the words we read in the New Testament are the same as those written by the original writers? Because the sheets that those writers used to write on are not in our possession. Considering the fact that the Christian faith, church, and culture are based on the New Testament, it becomes of paramount importance to know whether or not the original text still stands. Rome, the year 1866. In the library of the Vatican sits a German scholar, Constantine Tischendorf. For years, he has been searching for Greek handwritings of the New Testament, as old as possible, so as to come closest to the original text. So he sits there in that prestigious library of the Vatican. Between the rarest of the collections of books and manuscripts must be hidden the very old Bible handwriting of the Codex Vaticanus. It took a lot of persuasion before Tischendorf was given permission only to look inside this book. But finally, permission was granted, and for 2 weeks he could study the Codex 3 hours per day, but without making notes. It appears to be one of the oldest complete New Testaments in Greek, dating from approximately 325 A.D.
This was not Tischendorf's first discovery. His whole life was devoted to finding the oldest possible manuscript. In his quest for the answer to where these documents can be found, he concluded they had to come from hot and dry areas, because in a place with moisture, no parchment or leather documents could survive without rotting away over a short period of time. But where are the old churches and monasteries where such documents could be found? The answer is the Middle East. But something else must be added here. Those places must not have already been destroyed by the Mohammedans, for the old manuscripts would have been destroyed also. One place that survived all the odds and remains until this day is the monastery of St. Catherine in the middle of the Sinai Desert. He decides to visit the place, hires a couple of Bedouins with their camels, and starts on his exhausting journey through the desert. From 300 AD, monks have lived here. The monastery itself was built around 530 AD by Emperor Justinian. It takes a while before Tischendorf wins the confidence of the monks, but he gets in, and slowly but surely they trust him more. Then he is given permission to search in a neglected part of the monastery filled with old books and manuscripts, but the intensity of the search yields nothing. Then he sees a monk busily involved with a big basket of parchment sheets. He asks whether he can have a look at the contents and digs out 120 sheets with old Greek handwriting of the Old Testament. The monk was just about ready to burn them as waste, like the 2 baskets of paper he burned yesterday. With great difficulty, Tischendorf is able to recover 43 sheets. This was the result of his first journey. Nine years later, he visits the monastery again, but finds nothing. Only 6 years after that does he find what he's looking for. And he finds it under the pillow of a monk. Covered with a red cloth is a packet of sheets. At once, Tischendorf knows that this is the codex for which he's been looking. 199 sheets of the Old Testament and the complete New Testament. The Codex Sinaiticus, the book from the Sinai Desert, is now on display in the British Museum. Dr. Kurt Ahland, director of the West German Institute of New Testament Text Research, considers Tischendorf's search for old handwritings as the most significant of the 19th century. Dr. Ahland says,
Zwar haben wir unendlich neues Material, aber trotz aller
Of course,
Anstrengungen
we now have much
haben
more
wir
material
es
to draw
noch
from,
nicht geschafft,
but with all that,
Tischendorf
we
zu
have
ersetzen.
not been able to improve on Tischendorf. At the moment, we know of at least 5,200 Greek handwritings and fragments of the New Testament. Our institute has found 1,200 so far unknown manuscripts, which were all photographed for further study. 95% of all the known handwritings in our institute have been put on microfilms, which enables us to compare the various texts right on the premises. Our institute is searching for New Testament manuscripts, is comparing handwriting, photo recording, and dating, in addition to describing and evaluating the text according to significance. The handwritings with the valuable text, coming close to the original, are the basis of the newer, revised editions of the Greek New Testament we publish.
The Institute, located in Münster, West Germany, possesses original manuscripts as well as handwriting on microfilm. Here, a palimpsest, a manuscript on which the old writing was erased to make room for new writing, is screened in order to decipher the original text, which is probably a part of the New Testament. From all the existing handwritings, photographs have been made and are kept in long rows of files. In this way, they can compare the different texts of the New Testament. This is done in such a careful way that reconstruction of the original is assured to be correct, even in the smallest details. The Greek New Testament, published by Kurt Aland's Institute, is contained in this little blue book. The world is full of people, and for all those people there is one important book, the Bible. No other text out of antiquity has been preserved undamaged. How could this have been? In the Gospel of John, we read,
These things are written, that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name. The grass withereth, and the flower thereof falleth away. But the word of the Lord endureth ever and ever.